Oh, well done. Oh. Upstairs. Wow. Did you leave it? Did you leave it? Yes, you did. Well done. Well, good lady.
Sometimes it's good to know that your dog can leave something alone, whether it's food on a plate at a barbecue, your biscuits on the coffee table, another dog passing, a person walking by, any number of things. But this doesn't just happen. Your dog needs to be taught what leave means. When I teach leave, it means leave that object you're interested in alone and I'll make it worth your while. And in some cases, come back this way from what you're interested in and I'll give you something better. Leave means my dog doesn't get to interact with the object for the time being. I also teach my dog to wait, which has a slightly different meaning. Wait means hold on, stop, don't proceed until I give a release word. Then go ahead, you can continue or gain access to what you wanted. I use wait before eating, going out of a doorway, jumping out of the car, greeting a person or dog, or at the start line for agility, so that there is anticipation of being able to do something. Since the activity can continue, my dog needs a little self-control and to wait for my signal. Leave requires even more self-control because I don't always release my dog back to gain access to what she originally wanted. So very similar tasks, yet each serving a slightly different function which a dog will learn to understand if you teach clearly. They can be taught in very similar ways. For leave, the reinforcement always comes from me. I don't allow my dog to directly access the object I want her to leave. For wait, once I give the release cue, she can gain access to whatever she was waiting for, wherever it is. You may wish to pause here and get ready to take notes. There's a lot of information in this tutorial which I wouldn't expect anyone to remember after one viewing. You may wish to watch it a few times before you make your own plan for teaching your dog to leave. Here's how I taught Zuri. I set her up for success. Remember this, a teacher who surfs with their dog will get amazing results. SURFS stands for Set Up Reliably for Success. This meant I started in a quiet place without distractions, using a rather boring object so that I had the best chance of getting the behaviour I wanted, which was for her to show an interest in something but not interact with it. I could have gone straight for something harder like food, but I chose to set the criteria so that I had many opportunities early in the training to teach her what it was I wanted. I'm using a clicker for training. That's the clicking noise that you can hear. The click marks the instant Zuri does the right thing, and she knows reinforcement will follow. It's a great communication tool. Setting up reliably for success leads to the next step. I use a high rate of reinforcement, ensuring Zuri experiences a low rate of errors. This means she is correct many times, quite quickly, and I have many opportunities to let her know she did the right thing. Ideally, I try once every 3 to 5 seconds to reward her. It's a new game where she is learning the rules, so I start easy and she wins often. Once she knows the rules, I'll make the game harder later on. I raised criteria gradually, lowering previous expectations temporarily. For example, I went from a stationary plastic bag to moving it around and tossing it, letting it blow in the wind and shaking it around near her. I did this whilst she was stationary. Having her move whilst the object moved would come later. When Zuri did well, I increased difficulty by taking the lead off, but I went back to a stationary object and we did some drive-bys again. Whenever you change something or ask more of your dog, be a little lenient and don't ask for too many things at once. Always remember that a good trainer surfs with their dog. I reinforce, but I never punish. I make sure she can succeed and gain reinforcement. It's like saying, yes, that's right, here's your reward. If she makes a wrong choice, I don't need to say no or that's wrong. The lack of reinforcement is information enough to let a dog know that a particular behaviour won't pay off and they should try something else. Watch how Zuri touches the object and I don't reward. On the next attempt, she doesn't try to touch it. If you do tell your dog off or correct her for doing the wrong thing, you get the unwanted side effect of preventing and suppressing creativity, and your dog may lose confidence to try out new things for fear of being chastised all the time. Here I'm adding a toy to see if she can generalise that she needs to leave another object. She touches both, but I quickly reward her for looking at me and then for walking past, and she soon remembers the rules of the game. I'm not surprised she touches the toy, because another game we play is to target or touch new objects with her nose. It makes sense to her that if I'm presenting a new object, I must want her to touch it. So it's up to me to communicate that this is a new game, and that's what the reinforcement is all about. I'm now adding food, something which is harder to resist. I don't start with chicken, that would be asking too much at this stage. I'm using dry kibble. I'm also adding the cue, which is leave it. A short, one-syllable word is best for a cue, so leave would be even better. I add the cue when I can reliably predict Zuri will leave the item. I don't waste saying the cue if she isn't offering the behaviour predictably. The more the correct cue is paired with the correct behaviour, the quicker your dog will make the association of what it means. Only say it once. Continually repeating something over and over may create a dog who only leaves something if asked 5 times repeatedly. I call this wasting the cue.
Leave it. Go down, good girl. Leave it.
I'm prepared to change my teaching plan quickly if it falters.
Go down.
See how I've gone from having Zuri stationary and throwing treats to having her walk right over them. This was a little hard, and she gained a treat on the way over. I want to avoid this, so I chose to practice a little more with her stationary again. I practiced different scenarios in different places with different objects. Here I'm in the kitchen asking her to leave roast chicken I'm tossing onto the floor. That chicken toss was reinforcement for staying out of the kitchen, not for a leave. Think about what it is you predict your dog will need to leave and practice for this. I practiced with people, dogs and birds so she doesn't chase them. I also gradually increased the duration of the leave. That is, I made her wait longer to receive reinforcement, so the leave became longer. Use a higher value reward for harder tasks. Eventually phase out food reinforcement for something else, like praise. Now that the foundation training has been done and the behaviour is on cue, it's time to introduce something Zuri really loves. You can see how hard this is for her. It's imperative for me to continue to make sure she can succeed.
This way, Zuri.
I've left in footage of her being unable to resist to show that there is no need to punish at all or say no.
Leave it. Good girl. Well done. Well done. Come here. Leave it.
She showed great self-control not to take it and run. It's not her fault, it's my training error. Probably asking too much too soon, a training session that's too long, or poor value reinforcement, probably all of the above. So I remove it, ask her to do something easy and try again, so that we end on a successful note. Always end on a high note. I did 2 or 3 more successful leaves and then allowed her to have it. Short sessions are best. This can be as little as 3 to 5 minutes at a time.
Well done.
Notice at the end that I used the wait cue and then a release cue okay to let her know she could have it.
Good girl. Good girl. Wait. Okay. There you go.
So that's how I trained Zuri to leave. I now maintain the behaviour with intermittent training sessions. A behaviour that is practiced gets stronger. If it's not practiced, it will get less reliable and may not work when I most need it. Here's a recap of the main points.